Welcome to The Shift. It's the show where we talk about the people who are living the future of work before the rest of us catch up. We dig into where work is actually breaking, what signals people are reading, and, the small moves that we can shift entire systems on. I'm Marnie Robbins, here with my co-host, Mindy Honcoop. And Mindy, who did we talk to today? Because, my mind is just spinning.
Yes, we had the pleasure of being able to spend some time with Christy Honeycutt, one of my dear friends. And Christy is all the things. For over 2 decades, she has led the complexity of organizations in global tech and top consulting firms. And, she did everything right. She built teams, led transformations, developed leaders at scale until her body really started to revolt on her. And between the physical toll of a toxic corporate culture and the mental weight of navigating systems not built for her full humanity, she realized the traditional leadership playbook was missing something essential: aliveness. That realization shaped her life's work. And today, she has the incredible opportunity to help leaders reclaim theirs within broken systems with their spirit intact, which I think is an essence of what Christy shared with us in our talk today, Marnie.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the things that I took away, the biggest thing was how are we connecting with our roles with each other, communication. We talked so much about communication and how leadership hinges on that. We talked about big dick energy. We talked about leadership teams forgetting what it means to be really good leaders. My head's still spinning from the conversation we just got off of there, but the energy that I'm feeling is just inspired.
Yeah, my body's like humming. It's like humming right now. And that's what happens when you have just talk to someone who's living in what they are uniquely gifted to do and what brings them joy, because it's effortless, right?
Yeah.
What really landed with me is her passion for people to find that for themselves and how she works to just truly step through that with them. She even left with a practical takeaway where people can start living their lives in that direction. I loved our talk, a really honest and I think brave talk on accountability with leaders and with organizations that many aren't talking about and is getting hidden underneath what we keep hearing about AI taking jobs. Thought that was fascinating, a fascinating lens on that conversation. And also just the level of what we continue to hear over and over again in our conversations on the look at humanity. And how are we good or not at peopling and people skills?
Yep, absolutely. So this is one not to miss. I sincerely, even if you just want to hear from a really cool person, she's
powerhouse.
Got cool vibes. Yeah, absolute powerhouse. Have a listen. We hope you enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe, and show us some love. Welcome to The Shift. Up day, because humidity.
100%.
And I just decided that I was there's nothing up here. So I watched a quick TikTok and then went to the bathroom and cut my bangs. So thank you. I'm glad.
Wow. You just did that yourself? That's amazing.
Never have I ever been on a podcast where we talked about that the host cut her bangs 15 minutes prior to joining the call.
I love it. I love it.
It was a gamble. I'm not on here with a hat, so that's good.
I love hats.
Yes. That wouldn't be surprising for you at all. But
I have a lot of hats that I wear. I have a hat collection, not a shoe collection.
Yeah, that's in a t-shirt collection too. So welcome, Christy. We are so glad to have you on The Shift and really glad to jump into this conversation. Sorry we got off so weirdly, but really glad to have you here.
I'm happy to be here and to meet Marnie for the first time in her new bangs. Welcome, bangs, to the show.
Thank you.
For those listening, the bangs are looking stunning. Stunning.
Absolutely. A longtime friend and fan of Mindy here. So, no, thanks for having me on. I love what you guys are doing.
Oh, such a joy, Christy. I've always wanted to always record all our conversations because I always walk away just like, I'm just like, oh, Christy has just like gifted my soul and my mind because it's just jammy. You know, those people that you get with and you're just like, oh, it's like ooey gooey goodness. And I'm like, oh, what a beauty. I get to listen, re-listen to that conversation again. So that's why there's some people in my life that I love. I'm like, ooh, record. Now I've got that forever.
I love that so much. That's funny because we were just talking before we hit record that I put a heart on your husband's head that you haven't seen yet. So I interviewed Mindy and she's got her beautiful husband was walking it out. So we had to protect him from all the other ladies out there and put a heart on his head. I'm so glad you didn't record all of our conversations. I would probably be in prison. She knows it too.
No comeback. Like, yep.
I don't even know what to say with that one. Well, Marnie, get us. You always kick us off and get us started. Like, what's our through line?
Yeah, well, that's the kickoff, right? So, as with anything, we're so good at this. As with anything, we like to start off with just understanding a little bit about your through line, and particularly as it pertains to people and culture and the future of work. Christy, you have such a unique take on all things people and leadership, and would just love to know, how did you get to this spot in the world?
That is a big question. That's a big question.
I know. 1 hour later.
What is your purpose? So, look, I'm just a little scrawny Native American kid that grew up and never fit in, right? I never got to finish college. I had cancer my senior year in high school. I was bright. I had scholarships. Like, that wasn't a problem. I'm part of the sandwich generation. I'm Gen X, right? So still taking care of my parents, still taking care of my kids, and have a lot of responsibility. Latchkey kid, loved MTV. Video Killed the Radio are still my very favorite video.
Yeah.
I fell into recruitment because this dad saw me reading a book called Why Men Love Bitches, which is a very weird read. And I was going through a divorce. And he goes, what do you do? Because you are running around like your hair is on fire. You never miss a practice. You never miss a game. And you are always all over the place. And I said, well, I'm in marketing and I travel and I host events and I help with go to market. And he said, well, have you ever thought about recruitment? I said, I don't know what that is. And he goes, well, I think you'd be great at it. It's a little bit like marketing. So I went and interviewed. So this is a company called Straight Source, got bought out by a company called Connexa, which to this day is still my favorite ever place to work, favorite ever CEO. Rudy Carson, great CEO, great leadership. That's back when people were rowing the same direction and wanting the same outcome. So fell into recruitment, found out it is a lot like marketing. What do you need? What do you want? Who's out there? Why is it a match? Let's hook you guys up, right? Easy. Fell into that, and that started my long 20-year career. But when you start to work with people in volume and when you start to hire and you start to work with the sales team, you know what's coming in, you know the people you need to deliver the thing, and you know the education that people need to get to the next thing. And then you find these gaps and you just lean in. I just got it because I understand people. I have the ability to look at people, see people, hear people, but hear what they're not saying. And that's my superpower. I have deep intuition. I can read your face. I can read your body language. I can read your clothes. I can read the things that you don't think you're saying out loud. And that's what I use to my benefit. Now, I didn't find out I had that till COVID and we all had to wear masks. And suddenly I'm like, I'm screwed because I didn't realize I used all of me to interact with people. But that's my through line. That's kind of like very high level, love people. I understand the value of functions working in the appropriate way, people being in the appropriate seats and having the motivation to grow, learn, and want to align with the mission, vision, purpose of an organization that they bought into.
Love that.
Yeah. How often do you actually see all that?
Very rarely.
Right. Which
very rarely.
That is why there's an abundance of need for the work.
You know, I've seen so many things and I know you guys have too, right? And so for the longest time, I have seen people sell into the HR function, right? The people function. Everybody sells into the people function. Why? Because people touch everything. People are your product, whether you think they are or not. And then we hear all of this stuff, and I know you guys have heard it too, regardless if you were TA, recruitment, marketing, HR, payroll, I don't care. If you run a people function, you have been attacked in the last 10 years. Why have you been attacked? Because your seat doesn't really matter. It doesn't value. You don't have a seat at the table. You don't have any opinion. You don't have any data. You don't come with proof points. Why? Because you're doing everyone's damn job. You don't have time to come to the table to be a business partner. You don't have time to come to the table and think strategically. Why? Because we have leaders that we've been following, that our fathers have been following, and they're all dead now. We're not in the same future of work. I mean, Wendy, when I grew up, it was, we want you to go to college. That was given, right? Which I think that's a false narrative too, but we want you to go to college and you're going to work for this company. You're going to work there for 30 years. Well, why wouldn't I believe it? My dad did. My grandpa did. They rose to the ranks, right? We went to family picnics with the company and all the events that they did. That's what we thought it was about. But when you enter the workforce, and for me, I entered as a single mom, and my son is a university director now. And he told me, I won't forget this, it was last year. He goes, Mom, please don't work all night. Please don't work all night. Please don't work all night. So we were sold something that wasn't attainable when we came up through business. We are continuing to sell that same bullshit lie to people that are trying to get jobs today. That's not attainable because the future of work has changed. It's not changing. It's already changed. We're trying to keep up. Every CEO that goes, oh, we know what we're doing, and AI is the answer. They don't. None of them know. The ones that say they do, run. The ones that go, you know what, I have a point of view, but I'm not real sure, lean in. It's really, really simple because we are all figuring out together. But my work is kind of moved around the person, which has always been about the person. But when you get things growing in the right direction for those people, because I've created coaching programs, I've done all of this stuff, and I've hired and fired people at scale. I think I've hired over 30,000 people in my career. Like, I've done this for a minute, but you can't force a horse to drink water. You cannot. People have it in them or they don't. So if you're not getting the leadership that you need in your organization, that's okay. You don't have to stay. You can go somewhere else, right? But it's understanding, hey, when I do this thing, I don't feel good. I don't feel good in my body. I have a problem with this. And then it's probably you're going to see I'm not aligned, or there's not purpose driven here, or I don't have the support that I feel and want, like whatever that is. But if you're like, oh, I love the mission and the vision of this company, and it makes a difference to me that we build this widget for these dogs that helps them give their owners 20 minutes of freedom. I have a new puppy. But if it's something like that and you're very passionate, you're tied to it, you will find a way to grow in that business, in that industry. You'll find a way. I did. I was blocked multiple times. So we can't have you leave your role. You're the highest producer. You've been the highest producer for 3 years. I said, I'm sleepwalking. I'm dreaming about the job. I can do this in my sleep. I'm bored. And I said, I'll put it to you this way. This was the guy at our office. I will put it to you this way, because I knew he was responsible for a lot. I said, you have 2 choices. You let me take a different role, which was a demotion because I wanted to learn something different, or I quit. And that's on you. But those are your options, because you're blocking me from a role that I want, that I'm qualified for, because you think I'm more beneficial to the organization over here. And I said, but if you let me take this role, I no longer am just over one account. I get to impact the entire organization. Now, don't you think that's a smarter decision? Long story short, I had the job the next morning. And within 30 days, I had that entire department, because I outperformed that entire department of 7 people in 30 days of the work they had done the prior 12 months. So I know that. I've seen that in me. I've seen that in other people. There were situations where I had to go hire a mandate globally of like 100 people and have them all start and go. Well, the budget wasn't big enough for the skill set they wanted. Like, there were lots of things I had to work around. These are people all over the world. So I was like, I got to fix. Half of them are frontline employees that are starting, answering the phones, doing some administrative stuff that AI is going to be doing now. I'm like, why don't we bring transferable upskilling before it was a thing? Why don't we bring them in and teach them? Because now we're giving them a career path. Now we're pouring into them. They're going to be loyal, and they're not going to have to work weekends and nights anymore. And they're good with customers. I'm talking bartenders. I did this. And those coordinators became recruiters became managers, became directors, are now VPs and CPOs from a program I started 15 years ago on upskilling. So none of this stuff is new. The stuff we talk about, it's regurgitated. It's got really brilliant marketing speak put on it. I don't what we're going to talk about. What are we talking about this year? Agents or whatever we're going to start calling the tokens. I think tokens is the new thing. Like whatever you want to call it, call it. But at the end of the day, if you can actually create an environment where people want to be and they feel seen, heard, and respected, it's going to show up in your ROI. It's going to show up in promotions. It's going to show up in customer expansion. It's going to show up everywhere. And that's what I want to help leaders understand is that HR, you do have a seat at the table, but only if you choose and only if you decide to get smart with it and only if you hold your boundaries and push back and say, not my responsibility, not my authority, and focus on what's in your responsibility and your authority. That's the only way we're going to move. So where my work is kind of my through line is I want to come in and no longer be a consultant and let the organization charge you millions of dollars for some really smart people. I want to come in and meet you where you are and help you build your $1 million organization and inspire your people and your leadership team. And by the way, I'm going to hold a mirror up to you too and tell you what your team's not telling you and what they can't tell you. And so I want to work with the people that want to do that work, that want to feel like it's our parents' companies back 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's a heavy through line.
Quick question. If you lead a team, how much of your week goes to the same problem you thought you solved last week? The handoff that keeps breaking, the decision nobody will own, the question 3 people ask you every Monday, that's heat. The friction that keeps showing up and quietly stealing your team's energy and your own. And most of the time, it is not a people problem. It's a readiness problem.
And that, my friends, is what the signal loop is for. It starts as a diagnostic. You take one thing that keeps burning time, name it, and find what's driving it in the system. Not who to blame, but what's unclear, unowned, or never reinforced. From there, one small test, the right people with you, and a next move you can run in the next week. It's not a one-time fix. It's a practice that you keep running.
Yes. And if your team keeps hitting the same wall over and over again, bring the signal loop to them. Book a call. You don't need to be having the same conversations over and over again. Links in the show notes.
See you there. All right. So we have been influenced as a workforce by a lot of macro things, whether it's the economy, then we had COVID that made us become very separated. And then a lot of us who have been in the workforce for many, many years have been able to say, oh, yeah, I'm okay working from home. I'm okay going back to my silo, so to speak, and work in a more separated way. And as we've had in other podcasts, we've talked about the change of the social contract of work. And the social contract work is becoming much more transactional in nature. So this makes me feel very sad for our Gen Zers, right? And so how can we really get back to opening up that line of communication? Because they're not being taught nuance. They're not being taught judgment, taste, how to up level their communication. What do we think about that as far as like how do we repair maybe some of the damage that we've done from a workforce interface with the upcoming generations?
I think we have to stop speaking to AI taking their jobs first and foremost, because they're 22% of them are in the workforce, right? And then the rest of them are coming up behind them. I mean, are we literally trying to shoot ourselves in the foot? Like, it makes no sense. To your point, Marnie, you're right. Like, if you think back, and I'm old, I'm gonna age myself, but when I went to school, we had like home ec, right? You learned how to do the basic things in the kitchen. You had automotive. You learned the basic things. You think about that. I do not know how to change a tire. My son did not know how to tie his tie for his prom. YouTube helped us, right? So technology has a place and like creators have a place. But if we don't spend time, and when I say time, sacred time, not digitally, but actually time with these individuals, they're not going to get what they need. And we need to change our learning programs. My opinion on the future of work is that L&D needs to have a moment, and that moment needs to happen now, and it needs to kick off in 27. We have left an entire population out on a limb, and we're all trying to figure out AI. We need to figure out the future of work, which includes our elders that are aging out and can't work. And we need to look at the Gen Z coming in. And you know what? We also need to look at the neurodivergent, because they're not getting a fair shake either. Oh, and what about the veterans? It depends on who's sitting in seat and what's important, but all of that is important. And the book that I wrote, The Inner Work of Leading the Broken System, I wrote it, I got signed for that book in 7 days. I did not pitch. I was on a podcast earlier. It was like, how many, book publishers did you pitch? I didn't pitch a single one, not even the one that signed me. I was introduced to the one that signed me. They asked for a sample chapter. I gave them Don't Be a Dick. And they said 7 days later, we would like to sign you. So I have a book deal. My goal in that book was to make that book applicable to every single human in this planet. Now, they wanted, the publisher rightfully so, wanted it to be more organizationally sound, which it is. I've done both. But what I'm really happy about is that the editor that actually looked at the book, and I can't say names, but the editor that looked at the book came back and said, I read this and I was fully anticipating that this was going to be organizational only, but I'm happy to state that it also met the individual reader where they are. And if you take a look at that, between that and the organizational piece, he said, it is my opinion that every single human should read this book, because I experienced a lot of the things that you talk about in the book. And so it's a little bit of, let's call it for what it is. Like, let's call the thing out that people aren't talking about. We've been working from a broken leadership playbook for way too long. And we've been thinking about all these little widgets and getting hyper focused. Look over here at my magic hand. Don't pay attention to Gen Z coming up. We're doing too much. We need to look at it holistically. We need to look at the opportunities, and we need to look at someone's skills and purposes. Like, do they want to work with their hands? 20 years ago, you were looked down for that. Now you can go make $300,000.
Yes.
What is it that you were built to do? What is it that you are passionate about doing? I can look at both of you and know you're my people. I know you both are passionate about changing our community for the better. I know Mindy's heart. You can feel Mindy's heart without even looking at her or hearing her. You can hear it all the way from Austin. But that's where I think we need to get back to, is having actual conversations, because people are more mindful that they're getting bait and switch. Like, this company seems important and they have a purpose and mission on their marketing. Their marketing team said that. That's not what you're getting when you sign up. We need to be, look, if it's a shit job, say it's a shit job. Somebody out there is built and wants that shit job. But if it's not, say what it is, but actually make it be what you say it is, right? Like, put your money where your mouth is, have some integrity. And I think that that's where we need to start. We need to start with, Marnie, I got to tell you, hopefully nobody steals my idea, but I've been thinking about this because I sit on the board of Career Spring, which is a first generational nonprofit that helps these students who don't have influence, don't have mom, grandpa, grandma that all went to school. They're not in sororities or fraternities. They don't know what to do. So what did they get? They get a bunch of professionals like us that sit down with them, spend time with them, talk to them, open up our networks and help them so they can get a leg up. That's one way to start. Right? But the other way to start is look at your L&D teams. Look at your TA teams. What roles does your organization have for the incoming? And what roles can AI not touch?
We're so short-sighted right now in organizations too. We're not thinking about what roles will be that we don't have today.
Oh my gosh.
Because
what are the roles we have now
that
we didn't have the roles a year ago?
Right.
So that's a really good point as well.
100%. Like, there's definitely AI transformation, like, roles that they're focused on, but they also are seeing a change in some organizations that are more future focused around even facilities. It's now workplace culture, and it's really interesting how they're using human-led design to really think about the ecosystem of work, and the workplace is a part of that experience. And they don't own the culture. That is not to say that it's on them, but someone holistically is now making sure to facilitate conversations in that. I think there are and I'm also seeing a refocus on roles that they thought no one needed anymore. Like, a lot of companies got rid of their communication teams.
Oh, good
And
Lord.
now organizations are rehiring back communication teams because there's ever more need, because there's a huge gap of how we communicate, both internally and externally, because of all the reasons you just said. And I think that's what makes Marnie and I so passionate about Signal, because it's not another theory. It's not another really like operating system. At the end of the day, it's about how do we dialogue with each other about what we holistically are seeing, showing up, observing. What are the signals? Where are we seeing friction? How do we feel about it? If we have words to say that, how do we start discovering what's happening here and gathering data and what's the story that's telling? And I think the power, what you have been saying so many times, Christy, is opportunity, possibility, not problems. I'm done with
She's my
solving
mirror.
problems. I'm all about possibility and the art of the possible, because that's where ideation starts to happen, which is, I feel like, what you're saying, and that's what's resonating. And how do we help people step through that, starting with themselves and then into a team? You know, I see AI getting stuck at the individual level and a lot of like individual ways of working, and they can never get to the team, because to do that, guess what we have to do?
You have to communicate. We don't have to do that to begin with. So let's throw another technology in that's going to help us do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because AI isn't replacing jobs. You know, AI, I think, unfortunately, the layoffs, which they want to make an excuse of AI, and maybe this is Mindy's point of view, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate mail for saying this, but honestly, it's an excuse because we have not invested in leadership and having difficult conversations. And our L&D teams have either cut or have lost investment. The layoffs, conversation's not happening. It is performance management. Layoffs have become the new performance management.
So you're talking about accountability, which we don't. Why? So I asked somebody this the other day. I was like, if your teenage child is out driving and they wreck their car, right? They wreck their car and they're on their phone. They're probably going to get grounded at home. I'm thinking maybe the car gets taken away, keys get taken away, phone gets taken away. There's going to be an accountability for that action, right? Why do we not do that in organizations? Why do we not call that out? Why do we not, like, I don't understand it. I was in an organization, I think I shared this with Mindy offline. I was in an organization, Marnie, that's going to make your toes curl. I'm Native American, and in one day, within 2 hours, I heard the 3 following phases. You're off the reservation. We have too many chiefs and not enough Indians, and we need to have a powwow. Now, on the third one, and these were all C-suite individuals, on the third one, I said, I have 3 brothers and really thick skin, and I'm certain that you guys did not mean to be disrespectful. And I think it's more an educational and lack of awareness. So I would like you to go back to your colleagues and let them know that this is not appropriate. It's not okay. And I anticipate that it will stop immediately. I do not need apologies, but I do need it to stop, or we'll have a different conversation. Now, the reason that I'm hearing the things that I'm hearing is because I was talking to them about something that they did not want to hear, that they did not want to know, that we had a problem, right? So the canary in the coal mine. Hey, da 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 da. You guys told the client this. The client was sold this, the product's supposed to do this, and here's the reality. We've got a big problem. So I just feel like things should be handled a little bit differently, but like that is why people are leaving. Yep. We somehow have entered into a bully era in leadership and in corporations, and I don't know why. Women are leaving the workforce. I have alopecia. I went to the doctor one day and I was just like, I just gotta get out. And she sat me down and she looked me in my face and she said, Christy, you have 2 choices. Either I put you on Xanax or you quit your job. And I looked at her and I go, because I don't like to, I'm Native American. I'm all natural. I don't like doing things like that. And I said, well, why would you say something like that? She said, your stress level is crazy. You're going to have a heart attack. You're going to die. You can't save the world. You can't save, because I was being mama bird and trying to save as many people as possible, right? Like not caring how they felt about me, but just knowing that I could speak positive things about them in rooms they weren't in. And I could provide coverage that they weren't getting. And I could and would speak up for people when nobody else would. But that's not common. And unfortunately, I learned that the hard way. And until we fix whatever is going on, until we call out the thing, we're not going to have a change. I mean, we can go have a kumbaya and people come work for us. We'll have a great company. But at the, but like seriously, like there is a very, and Marnie, you were talking about this, is like, the financial crisis 2008, Gen Z watched their parents not have jobs and struggle. You talked about COVID. They were going to school during that, graduating during that. My son graduated with his master's. On Zoom. I saw my baby after all that time. I didn't get to be there and do all the special stuff, right? And then he has beautiful curly hair and he has a shaved head because he tried to cut his hair and he had to shave it because it was a whole thing. So like I didn't get that moment, but you can't look at the fact of all these things that we've gone through in history, and they're all big things. We're all going through them simultaneously at different ages and different backgrounds, so the perception's different. But the only thing that I've seen happen is that people are like, let's build a community. That's great. But if you don't fix the leadership at the top, what good is your fucking community? I'm sorry for saying that, but seriously, what good is it?
That's right.
It's self-serving, it's inauthentic,
Yes.
and guess what? Everybody sees it, so they already know. And it's just, that's the part. It's like, how can we get people like you, like me, like Mindy, like how can we band together and say enough's enough? Accountability needs to happen. Accountability needs to happen across the board, and we need to be human to each other.
Right. And even the idea of coaching and the idea of actually growing and developing your people and spending time. I don't know how many organizations I've seen in recent years say, we don't need to do one-on-ones anymore. That's the single most point of failure that I've seen in any leadership team is we don't need to do the one-on-ones. Bull. And so that to me is, to your point, the communication. I don't care what format it is or what that, but this whole idea of putting down the idea of leadership is just asinine to me. If you want to be competitive out there,
it's mind-boggling to see leaders that are smart, that were appointed because they have this skill set to do what they're doing, and to watch the ones that get put in certain seats who, for whatever the reason is, it's like ego or it's fear or whatever corporate trauma that they are carrying around. Watch how impactful and damaging that one individual, not in the right seat, not in the right mind, not having agency over their emotions, the damage that they can do to an individual, to an organization, to a client base, to revenue. It is insane to see it. It's like, do you not see what you have? Do you not see the power of what this is going to have on do you not see the people working for you? Do you not see that they've been up working since, it's just like I had a leader tell me, they're going to reach out to you. Now, don't help them. You've earned your stripes. You've worked really, really hard. Don't help them. And I'm like, what planet are you on? We're going to a client together. If they fail, you fail. If they fail, I fail. What is this? Don't help them. They have to earn their stripes. No, I'm pretty certain someone helped you because I don't know how else you got in this job, right? Like, it's like at some point someone has helped. And so it's really, can we just be human? It's like if you see, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one, but if you see a homeless person, and I know, look, there's people out there acting like they're homeless and they're making more money than I am, and good, power to them. Go for it. But I'm not going to look them in the eye. I'm not going to wave at them. I'm not going to check and see if I have any cash in my purse, because you know what? I don't know their story. I can't assume that they're out there committing fraud. What's my job? My job is to show up, be human, and do good for people that I can impact. That's my job. What happens after that, that's on them. And if we could just change our perception and how we're engaging with each other, our family, our spouses, our children, our bosses, and have grace for the bosses too. They're not all dicks. There are some good bosses out there. And, it's just like, but have graces for the different functions you don't know. I hear Mike Pedetto is like an amazing Instagram, phenom. And he talks about how he had a crisis and how he got laid off, right? 2 times in like, I think 5 months. And that resonated with people. That resonated with over 400,000 followers. Why? Because it's reality. It's real. And he's saying, hey, guys, I'm a recruiter. This is what happened to me, because you have people that are desperate to get a job. And what did they start doing? They start hating on who they have access. Well, who do they have access to? Well, it's the recruiter's fault. Nope, because I can tell you many recruiters that came to my office crying because they wanted Bob to get the job and Bob didn't get picked. And I said, okay, I know you love Bob. Take Bob out for a burger, but the client doesn't want him. The other client didn't want him. Bob's not getting placed. They have huge hearts. People that are in the right jobs are doing the right jobs, and they're not. You're going to see it. And that includes leadership. Unfortunately, you see it faster because they're at the top.
Right. Right.
So we could like go burn
we could talk
our bras
forever.
over this. I know.
Right? Because then you
Burn
have
it
the
down.
whole, I know, right?
Burn it
And
all
then you
down.
have the whole, like, if we even know, because we had podcast guests before that has said, we've often also lost a sense of our identity within our job. And so it's even then, and because let's just take an HR leader, for example, who's become a Swiss Army knife because it's the kitchen sink of what no one else wants to do in the company. And now if they haven't had a chance to take a step back to understand who am I in all this and what is it that I'm really great at and love doing, and maybe, and I have seen this where it's like I'm really great at these things, but I don't even know if I love it or not. And maybe there's something else that I don't know that I love. And so this too is like, how do we not ever lose the art of understanding who we are and how do we best do what we are built to do and drive value, and continue to think about how, like you did in your organization, always be thinking about can I currently evolve who I am within this organization, and if I have the opportunity, the role along with that, and be able to educate and create awareness around that. But organizations often, as you mentioned, aren't open-minded enough to think about all the possibilities of being able to have and hold that conversation. And so, yeah, you're right. We could go on forever trying to solve all the workplace problems. But I mean, there's so many amazing nuggets here. What is like the practical, like if there is one thing that you would hope someone would take away from this incredible conversations of so many things, what's like one thing that someone could start doing right now?
Find your joy. So so what I mean by that, and this is going to sound really weird, but I ended up being an empty nester, going to a grocery store for the first time by myself. Okay. Kids were out of the house. I broke off an engagement. I find myself by myself. And I walk into the grocery store and I called my best friend and I was like panicking. And she goes, "What's wrong?" And I said, "This is the first time in my life that I have ever shopped for just me. And I don't know what I like." And she started laughing. She goes, "Baby, get whatever the F-U-C-K you want." And I was like, all right. So I did. And my basket was crazy filled with strawberries, chocolate, champagne, bonbons. I don't know what I bought, but it wasn't healthy. It was random, but I had snacks forever and I just like enjoyed it. But and I say that because that happened in my late 40s. So can you imagine being in your late 40s and not even knowing what you like to eat? Like, that's crazy. And so, but I was so outwardly focused on everybody and everything except me, to the point that I had to have a doctor tell me, "Quit your job or you're going to die." Like, we are so disconnected from ourselves. So, and my boyfriend does a simple thing, like we'll go surfing and we'll do different things, or he'll pull me behind the boat and he'll go, "Did you have fun?" And I find myself going, I did have fun. I really like this. I fucking love this. And so it's like, if you give yourself a moment to be in the experience and then just check in and go, how do I feel? If you feel good, you're probably in the right space, right? And if you feel not great, like that's the first step. That's the first step. The second step, will give you a hint. They're rushing, come see me. The second step is now take that and think about how you made somebody else feel. Because once you figure out how you feel, now you got to figure out, how do you make other people feel? How do you bring that energy in the room so they can feel joy and you're not bringing baggage and you're not having to, like, it's really getting into it. It's woo. It's woo, baby. That's what it is.
I love woo.
We could talk forever, but I want to make sure that people get as much woo as possible. So your book launches November 17th, right? November 17th, is that the date?
It does. But Marnie, you can buy it today. And I need all of our community to buy that book. I mean, every day somebody buy a book. It's just in time for Christmas. It's great onboarding gifts. If you're a company that wants to buy a bulk and have, Mindy, Marnie, and Christy come and do like a kumbaya hug, fix your Gen Z. We'll figure it out. But
we're on it.
Yeah, no, my goal is to get this in many hands as possible. I have had a few companies say, hey, we might want to have you come to a conference and sign these in 27. Love that. Just would love to get as many sales as possible. So Amazon goes, we're on to something, and they keep that sucker stocked.
Great. What's
Love
the
it.
title and where can it be purchased? Where can people find you, Christy? Your podcast is fire. So like go listen, watch, subscribe. But where can people find you?
So the book is on Amazon. I believe it is $21.95.
Worth it.
Definitely worth it. It's fun. There's some fun chapters in there. My website, ChristyHoneycutt.com, will have some fun quizzes so you can check your dick energy, right? And kind of see like where I would recommend you lean in the book first, just to save yourself some time. I'm all about strategy. But other than that, LinkedIn, I am very promiscuous connector on LinkedIn, so feel free to add me. I'll be at the Future of Work coming up in Dallas in September. I will be at TalentNet Live in Grapevine in November, and rumor has it, I'll be back at HR Tech in October.
Yay.
So yeah,
I'll be there. We have to meet up. Yeah. Nice.
We're going to burn it all down, Marnie. We're going to burn the ladders down.
Oh, it was so good.
Thank you guys. It was an honor. I just love your work.
Well, we love your work. So, and I can't wait for that book.
Christy, thank you so much. For me, it has been an absolute pleasure to get to know you. I feel less FOMO of being in this circle of trust, so to speak. And thanks again for being on the show.
Oh my gosh. Thank you guys for holding spaces like this. And thank you. And now you're one of my new friends. So get ready.
Woo.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
better get ready, Marnie. Buckle up. It's a
Let's
wild
go.
ride.